Turn it off and then back on again. Check 1, 2. Joao, Klaus, Tommy. Oh, there I was. Yep. No.
Check 1 2. Check 1 2. Oh, look, there I am. Okay, cool. All right. Then now we're going to try this again. Here we go.
Los Angeles, I'm and most Hollywood nights. She goes to California, oh, California.
What you say about Los Angeles?
LA got the people saying,
You're listening to Corner of the Galaxy on cornerofthegalaxy.com. Welcome to Corner of the Galaxy, the show that talks 100% LA Galaxy soccer. We're glad you could join us. Now it's time to sit back and relax as your hosts navigate through the twisting, turning, but never boring world of your six-time MLS Cup champion, LA Galaxy.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Corner of the Galaxy on cornerofthegalaxy.com. I'm your host, Josh Guesman, coming to you on a Thursday, January 29th. That's right, we are almost out of January. We are almost in February, which means the LA Galaxy's preseason, all the games that you get to go to are just around the corner before they jump into CONCACAF Champions Cup action. It is literally weeks away from us being in full-on competition mode here on Corner of the Galaxy. So we are getting you ready. They add another piece, a midfield piece with Erik Thommy, but are the LA Galaxy done yet? Plus, there was a rumor about Karol Swiderski. We're going to talk about him as well and tell you what to expect from that. Plus, we have some LA Galaxy Unified team, and this podcast is your unofficial place for all LA Galaxy Unified team information. All right. In order to help me do all this, we are glad to have him back. The cold can't keep him down. The ice can't stop him. It is Mr. Erik, the Portuguese Hammer Vieira. Erik, how you doing, buddy?
I'm warming up. I'm thawed out here. So we canceled 4 days of school. So that's where I've been.
Yeah.
So we've been stuck in the house since last Friday. Snowed in, and so we finally started to get some thaw and some slush, moving things around. So back to school, back to regular work tomorrow. And it's interesting talking with family around the country. No one else seems to have any issues, so it's like we're living on our own little remote world, doing our own thing. But we're all good. Kids are fine. I'm fine. Everything's fine. It's fine.
It's just fine. Just fine. I was going to say
we're surviving.
Yeah, I was gonna sort of make a point that, like, on the one night you probably shouldn't be up late, you're up late. So and what, by the way, going back to school on a Friday, man.
One day work week. What are we doing here? Come on. I'm sure there's something where you technically have to meet a certain number of school days, but come on, what are we doing? What are we gonna solve tomorrow? We're not gonna solve the world's problems. So we'll see who shows up. I'll be there. We'll figure it all out.
Yeah, I shouldn't tell you that it was like 90 degrees on my car's thermometer today, right? So it was a little.
Heard it's nice and warm. Yeah.
I still wore a jacket all day. I'd like to point out, I'm still, it's cold in the office. The air conditioning's on, all that sort of fun stuff. But yeah, but we are surviving our own plague here in the Guesman household. Is the youngest little man brought the flu home. So flu A in the Guesman household. So we're preparing. This may be the last podcast I do here for a little while, because God only knows what this weekend will have in store for us. Hopefully everything's good, because I was invited to the LA Galaxy's season ticket member event, which is happening this weekend. So I would like to go to that. So that way I can put my eyes on things, see how everything's going. But I mean,
well, we don't need to give any new signings the flu. So
yeah.
Proceed with caution.
Joe Klaus can't play because he's got the flu.
DNP, yeah.
Yeah, 100%. So everybody will be yelling at me, and I can see that happening. So yeah, I'll dodge the bullets here this weekend best I can and see what we can do. But a reminder for everybody, as we are getting closer, and once again, we did give out our 2 VIP tickets on the last show on Tuesday night. It feels really weird, by the way, to do a Tuesday show and then a Thursday show. There was like only one day between it. So,
But we have news. That's the crazy thing. There was something to provide content for today's show, so it's not a rehash show.
People are like Guesman's having a show. There must be a podcast, And I will say, the Erik Thommy news was not something that I had on my bingo card. It wasn't so. I knew that they were going after. This is the piece that they had been working on, or at least the idea of this piece, Eric. For at least for me, from my understanding, since like Halloween type. In that area, right? Because I had some conversations and did some things and was sort of like and they're like, we sort of want that experienced midfielder. We want a guy who's more of an MLS vet. We want a guy who can play a couple different positions, the whole deal. And so I've sort of been waiting for that. And it's almost like it went on the back burner and I forgot that was like something that they were really trying to sort of focus on. And so this fulfills that checklist right there. And you're like, oh, okay. This makes sense, but it was not one. So I'll tell you how it goes. Is like the Galaxy did another jersey thing where how the jersey's spinning around, right? Yeah.
Yes. I was gonna say it was weird because they did the tease for that jersey spinning around, and then they announced that Klaus was signed, and you thought, oh, okay, that must have been the news that was coming. And then when they announced Erik Thommy, they finished the jersey. Oh, I was like, oh, so that was these were different buckets, different teases that were happening. So it's kind of interesting how it all came together, because I assumed that the jersey turning was Klaus. We knew that was going to cross the finish line eventually or soon. And so you thought, okay, well, I guess they didn't revisit the jersey thing, but they did revisit the jersey thing. It was just a different player than we imagined.
Yeah, it was. And so whenever they did it, I'm like, wait, is this I literally texted them going, is this a jersey reveal or is this a player? They're like, nope, new player. And I'm like, oh, okay, you got me. I don't know where we're going with this one. I just want to make sure. I'm like, there's a lot of people expecting this to be a player. Just FYI, if this is a jersey thing, eject now.
It better be a player.
Yeah, eject now. You guys are in deep. But no, it was good to sort of see that come through, and it was an interesting one as well. But as I was saying, we're getting closer. On February 8th, we will have the live show coming to you from Coachella. The LA Galaxy taking on the Chicago Fire. We will have a show that starts directly after that game, so right around 11:45, 11:50. It always happens faster than you expect it to, and we have to start it quickly so that way we can get players and coaches on, and then they can leave on their bus and go back to the hotel, right? So we're crunched on time for that.
Yeah, you will not find a sweatier interview than the COG Coachella post-game interview. So again, hot off the press.
Yeah, it will. They'll be dripping on us as we're standing there. I'm sure, especially if they're tall. Some of these guys are tall, and they come in. You're like, oh man, and they got like the heat coming off their head. Like it's gonna be, it could be an interesting one for everybody. But no, so that's what's going on. Make sure you get your passes. CoachellaValleyInvitational.com. There's VIP passes. There's regular passes. We know that this will be one of the busier days that they have, and probably will be the busiest day that they have. The entire Coachella Valley Invitational, right? So you want to get there early. If you stop by early, I think we have to be like set up by 9 because doors open at 9. Show up at 9, man. Come on through. The game starts at 10. You don't got that much time. Come on, say hi. Yeah, it's fun. So
there's lots of soccer going on. Obviously, you want to watch the LA Galaxy, but there's a lot of other teams playing as well. So I think that's a draw as well when you get to walk around, see the action happening. A live soccer tournament, nothing better than that. Doesn't get much better. From my experience, even going to youth tournaments, when you see, when you have the 6 fields and you kind of walk around and check everything out. To me, it doesn't get any better than that.
It will be it'll be an interesting one. Once again, your schedule coming up on Saturday, January 31st at 11 a.m. The LA Galaxy take on DC United. Closed gate scrimmage. Kevin made me call it closed because there are no doors. It's just a gate. So he said it's not in the stadium. It's on the out. Yeah, it's on the. They're not even playing at the track stadium. They're playing on the U.S. soccer fields. Is usually where they scrimmage down in front.
Okay.
Yeah,
well, there you go.
So there is no door.
Even better.
Just a gate. So the closed gate scrimmage is on January 31st at 11 a.m. So that's on Saturday at 11 a.m. So we will, I'm sure, hear about the goal scorers and sort of what's going on in that game, and we'll be able to transmit that off as soon as we can get that. And then the LA Galaxy will have one more game before heading out to Coachella. That is on February 4th, where they play OCSC, the You Tried to Steal My Stadium match, as we always call it. And so that one will be a big one to watch there as well. And then, of course, you have February 8th against Chicago Fire at 10 a.m. That's at CVI. And then they have the midweek February 11th game at 11 a.m. At CVI. Then 2 days later, there is a closed door. I don't know if there's doors or gates. Closed gate scrimmage at CVI as well against Real Salt Lake. And then the LA Galaxy transitioned so quickly that on February 19th, that's right, we are literally like 20-something days away from being ready for the Galaxy to actually kick it off. And then not too much after that, we're going to see that 222. And something that I don't think we emphasized it well enough. But let's emphasize it again, is Kevin was sort of talking about this and saying, Eric, that he thought that Greg Vanney had hinted at basically them having 2 separate starting lineups for the start of this year. Basically, starting lineup that's going to play in CONCACAF Champions Cup and a starting lineup that's going to play in League. And when he and I were talking before the show, and I'm like, so which one's the stronger one that you're playing? Like, do you have to play the stronger one against San Miguelito? Yeah. Is that the one in CONCACAF Champions Cup? Are you worried it's a knockout tournament, so you play your strongest lineup there? Or are you like, MLS is going to start with our hair on fire, we better have a strong lineup and do that? And technically speaking, the teams that we're playing in CONCACAF Champions Cup aren't like going to set the world on fire, right? Like the whole deal. They shouldn't. Yeah. So, do you feel comfortable doing that? Or are these 2 teams balanced to where it's sort of like yes and yes and, the whole deal? So
that's where I kind of lean. I think the squad isn't deep enough to do. You don't have a 22-man roster where you can do 2 different 11s and make it successful. So I think naturally there are going to be some players who are on both teams, both versions of the team. But I do think that you are going to try to give your less experienced players, or your players who are, quote unquote, your B team, are probably going to get rolled out in your CONCACAF Champions Cup matches. That'd be my guess. One, because of the competition in these early rounds is usually, again, not to disrespect you while I disrespect you, to San Miguelito here, but the competition is going to be of a lower value. So you are able to, kind of play around with that lineup. You see your Harbor Millers, you see your Mauricio Cuevases. Maybe you bring in, if Mitrovic is your starter, Marcintowski gets the start as the goalkeeper there. So I think you do shuffle the lineup, but you still, if you want to be successful, you need Peck, you need Paintsel. You're going to want the forward could be the question. You may want to save Klaus for MLS, and then maybe Nascimento is your guy for the CONCACAF Champions Cup, or Ramirez gets your minutes, or maybe Ramirez is your guy and Nascimento is your guy off the bench for both situations. So I do think you will see a mixed bag, but there are certain players that are going to need to be your consistent, probably your spine of the team type guys that you keep in there. And then you're going to kind of mix and match with maybe some of those more auxiliary positions where you need to sub. So I would guess that it's not going to be 2 distinct different 11s, but I think the benches are going to probably look very different for both lineups. So I think we'll see when they roll the ball out. This is why I'm excited for Coachella, because obviously with the closed gate scrimmages, you don't get to see how they lined up. You don't get to see the roster cards. You were even mentioning, is it 30-30-30? Is it 45-45? They mentioned getting 2 full 90-minute games before they head off to CONCACAF Champions Cup to get those players those experience. So I'm excited to go to Coachella just to see how they line things up, because obviously with the signing of Klaus and Nascimento finally crossing the line with the 6-month loan, you start to think, okay, are they going 4-4-2? Are they still sticking, with the 4-3-3 that Vanney's always gone? Is that Vanney's system and that he's going to stick to that with the addition of Hack? and then Yoshida and Glesnes. Do they go 5 in the back or 3 in the 3 center backs, however you want to call it? So I'm excited just to see what does the lineup look like, and then I think that tells you how everything is going to go in Champions Cup, and then how they're going to start the season.
Well, remember, you can be there, so come join us on February 8th, Coachella Valley Invitational. Let's see how things start to play out. But the 2 lineups is an interesting twist, and the Galaxy are kind of. I don't know if I want to say this, only because like it feels like maybe a couple weeks ago we were sort of like, hey, people were poking the Galaxy, like do something, right? Yeah. And you're like this, and everybody was still, I think, in that sort of malaise that, hey, Riqui Puig is out again, right? And you're sort of like, man, it's just, whatever, okay, cool, that type of thing. And then the Galaxy signed Klaus, and we talked about Klaus on Monday night. We talked about him on Monday night.
On Thursday, it was we pretty much had the Klaus show on Thursday. Yeah.
So, but we also talked about him on
Tuesday as well.
On a Monday thing on our Monday show as well, whenever it was official, or excuse me, on our Tuesday show, because it happened on Tuesday. Yep. So we did that, and so there was sort of this, okay, but hold on, and then you signed Klaus, and then you signed Thommy. And you sit there and go, the Galaxy are kind of deep at a lot of positions. And you're like, oh, okay. When did that happen? And yes, I think that there is still, in general, there's going to be a question about who the playmaker is. And maybe the Galaxy are saying, hey, we think we can find somebody. Maybe Erik Thommy can come in and play some of those playmaker positions. We'll talk about him in just a second. Maybe Sanabria is going to pick it up this year. Maybe Elijah Winder is going to pick it up this year. There's guys, maybe Tucker Lepley takes a huge step forward. And as we've talked about, and people think we're crazy, but I still think if you're talking about a guy who is as elusive as you're going to get without it being Riqui Puig, Tucker Lepley is one of those guys that can dance around on the ball and create a little space and do some things. Doesn't always work, but he can do it.
There's your Triple C CONCACAF Champions Cup, MVP right there. That's the exact situation where you let him do his thing. It's funny, in my notes, I have that written down. We went very quickly from, do we have a team, to let's get on the field and start playing these games, because I'm excited. It felt like it happened that quick, because last season, with how the season started, with such a slow start, with Riqui being injured, and then the news, you just said, you nailed it. It was with Riqui being out again. You think, well, here we go. We're in the same situation that we were last year. Are we going to be able to compete? And then it just seems like, okay, maybe the defensive signings bring all that together. You hate to say that, the Erik Thommy thing is the thing that said, done. Now we're going to win MLS Cup, Stairway to 7. It's all happening. But it provided that depth, and I think it does check those boxes, because that's the type of signing. I didn't have a name in mind, but I was thinking like an MLS veteran, someone who could be the playmaker position. And Erik Thommy is one of those guys. He's been around the league. Whenever the Galaxy played Sporting Kansas City, he always caused problems. He's always looks dangerous. Whenever you watch MLS Season Pass, he's always involved there. So it's like, okay, that's the type of player that gets you excited. And then now you have depth. And again, I want to apologize to Marco Reus. In all this preseason discussion, we keep saying who's going to pull the strings, who's going to play the 10, who's going to be the Riqui position. Did I forget that Marco Reus is on this team? If he's healthy and he can play games,
then he's the best player on the field.
He's the best player on the field, and he's going to be able to create and dish things out and create for Klaus and create for Peck and create for Paintsel. And then if, God forbid, he's not able to stay healthy or not able to get as many minutes, you slide Erik Thommy in that position. You have a veteran backup, a playmaker-ish type guy. And okay, now I think we can compete. And then you throw in the third tier of your Tucker Lepley, who we liked what we saw from him last season, and the aggression that he brings, and what's the term I want to use, like swashbuckling, how he moves forward. He's really adventurous in how he plays. And that's another layer of depth. So you're right. We went from, do we have a team, to now we have depth. We seem to have possibly 2 squads, if you go by what the Panda's hinting at. And it just makes me excited for the season. Again, best time to be excited when there's been no games.
Yeah.
played.
There's
But,
nothing to analyze yet.
I think there is a valid reason to be excited about this season.
Well, before we get to the Erik Thommy news and announce all that fun stuff that came with that, I want to get to this. And again, it is the 2026 Unified Team Tryouts on Monday, February 16th. So open to new and returning Special Olympics athletes and unified partners. You can go to the link on the LA Galaxy Foundation Instagram bio to register, all right? Eventually, it's going to be up on the website as well, but it's not up there yet. So click the link in the LA Galaxy Foundation Instagram bio to register. The LA Galaxy tryouts, again, are on Monday, February 16th. This is the LA Galaxy Unified Team Tryouts, February 16th, Dignity Health Sports Park. The team is comprised of athletes ages 16 to 25 with and without the intellectual disabilities. Athletes take part in specialized training sessions, competitive matches against other MLS Unified teams, and a signing and media day. I told you I am the biggest fan of the LA Galaxy Unified team. I will be their biggest fan again this year. I will try to be at it. I'm gonna go to some trainings again. I'm definitely going down to talk to them again because I had so much fun doing it last time. So I will be there. But I want you all to get prepared. You need to tell your friends. You need to tell your family that you are looking for the LA Galaxy Unified team. You're looking for that game. There's gonna be a game where they're going to play after one of the matches, and we're going to focus on one of those, and we're getting everybody to show up, all right? I will not rest as a human being until there are 15,000 people cheering for this LA Galaxy Unified team, and I want you all to start preparing that you're going to show up and that you're going to be there. I need your help with this, all right? I can get like 20 people with me max. But if everybody can start pulling up, and you tell two friends and you tell two friends and you tell two friends,
and
right?
So on and so on. You got to get get the screen
to
go bigger there, yeah.
But if we can do that, then we can fill up the stadium. So I want you to start getting prepared. But first, I want you to get ready for if you have anybody who's eligible for this team, I need you to get out there and play. This is a competitive team. I'm telling you right now. Whenever I talk to everybody, what do they always tell me? They're like, yeah, we're there. We're going to have a lot of fun. It'll be nice to meet the other team, and we want to win. Every time. We want to win. So, and they did last year. They did a great job.
And I was going to say, and even with the interviews that you did last season with the head coach about how they play in the same style as the LA Galaxy. So this is a big deal, and I love that you're throwing all your energy behind it. I know you mentioned it's on the LA Galaxy Instagram. If you follow me on Instagram, I reposted it. Corner of the Galaxy on the Instagram, they reposted it. So if there's ways to get there, to get on the team, and what it means to these players to get on the field and to wear the jersey and to have to play in the stadium and to travel and to go play other teams, you just see how special it is. And so I'm with you. We don't know the date yet, but there is going to be a game where it's going to be a doubleheader. It's going to be in the main stadium. Figure out if you're a season ticket member, plan on whatever that day comes, that's when you're going to start spreading the word and stay in the stadium, stay late. I encourage the supporter groups. I know the supporter groups like to go hard, and especially when the game is over, sometimes the party spills over into the tailgate area. So on that day, maybe the party stays inside the stadium, and then maybe you throw your support behind these guys. So I'd encourage, again, we're going to figure out what that date is. Right now, it's getting people signed up, but I think did you mention that you were the unofficial support? I think we just make. I think we make Corner of the Galaxy the official supporters of the Galaxy Unified.
I don't think
team.
I can say that. That's one of the. I'm like I
Not
would.
Legally?
I would if they allow me to say
legally?
that. I will. Yeah, not legally. If they allow me to say it, that type of thing. But the unofficial official. Like that. That's the whole thing. Last time I think I told everybody about this, but I wanted to show it one more time. I got one of these, and I'm like thrilled to death that they gave me one of these. This is the LA Galaxy Special Olympics Unified Teams. Congratulations on an undefeated season. It is a real Topps card. There weren't that many that were given out. Everybody on the team got one. I don't know how many other people got one, but I have one and I freaking love it. And it's one of my favorite things that I've ever gotten.
I love that.
So that's it. So that's our update on the Unified team. We will continue to update you as we go along. Now, the LA Galaxy on Wednesday announced that they had signed midfielder Erik Thommy. He was a free agent, so free transfer that comes over. The LA Galaxy said that they signed him to a guaranteed contract through June of 2027 with a club option for the 27-28 season. Remember, 27 is going to be the short, little tiny season, right?
That's going to be the interesting thing with these signings moving forward is the language that's in there now.
Yeah.
Because this, there's a midway point and then there's the 27-28 season, which is interesting how that's going to work out. I think contracts moving forward we're going to start seeing how that all lines up.
Yeah. And they're starting to sort of put in the 27-28 season, right? And so now we know. And me on my charts, I'm like, how am I going to keep track of that? Like, it was easy when it was the same year. Now it's a different year. We'll figure it out. So anyway, that's what we have for Erik Thommy. Tommy's 31, joins the Galaxy following a 3.5-year stint with Sporting Kansas City. The Ulm, Germany native officially arrived stateside midway through the 2022 season and quickly made his MLS debut with Sporting Kansas City on July 23rd. Hey, that's my birthday, against LAFC. Thommy then bagged his first league goal 2 games later against, guess who, the Galaxy, sparking contributions in 3 consecutive matches. In total, Thommy has paired 19 goals, 10 assists, and nearly 7,100 minutes across 101 MLS matches. Will Kuntz said, "We are excited to welcome Erik to the LA Galaxy. Erik is a versatile player capable of playing multiple attacking positions. His vast experience across the German top flight in Major League Soccer will be a great asset to our locker room and on the field, and we cannot wait for him to get started with the group." All right, so a guy who traveled all through different places whenever you look at his different teams. Certainly you can look at his time with Sporting Kansas City. This is a guy who played in 25 games last year, started 14 times, 1,273 minutes, so not an everyday, but 4 goals, 4 assists from that position is not a bad spot for a guy who was a spot starter, and I would expect that in some ways he may get more playing time because I think he might fit the LA Galaxy system a little bit more. He has played winger. According to Transfer Market, he's more of a central attacking midfielder. So you're looking at the cam, right? So in some ways, a 10. In more ways, probably more of an attacker on that side than anything else. Maybe not so much of a playmaker, but capable of making long runs, capable of opening up passes, and he likes to shoot from outside, which is always a good thing to have for somebody who can make that happen, right? So overall, I think you're getting a fairly balanced player. He's a good vet. He's going to be good for the locker room, and he's going. Listen. The Galaxy under Will Kuntz have signed A-plus individuals in terms of the people who they are off the field, on the field. These are A-plus guys. I would imagine that Erik Thommy is exactly that guy. So also, Erik, I do need your official decision on whether or not you hate Erik Thommy because he spells his name with a K instead of a C. It's Erik with a K instead of a C. I don't know how you feel about that.
I'll clear the air on that first, and then we'll go into my Erik Thommy thoughts. Obviously, as an Erik with a C type guy, I think that's the correct spelling of the name.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, with the caveat, if you are from Europe, you can spell it with a K. So E-R-I-K is okay if you are from Europe.
From Europe, okay. And so it's a European thing.
E-R-I-C-K is never okay.
Never. You can't go both. You got to pick one.
If you're a domestic C, a European K, but you never go both in any situation. So those are my Erik thoughts.
Yes.
Back to the Erik Thommy to talk about the signing itself, and let's refer to him as Thommy. I think that makes it a little bit easier, less confusing, because I know people are going to confuse. Is the Hammer playing? Is this guy from KC? Yes, I know it causes a lot of confusion.
That's what people are going to be worried about. 100%. Yes. Continue.
But I'm with you. This reminds me a little bit of a Diego Fagundez move. Someone has that veteran presence, has been around the league, knows how to play multiple positions. To me, I feel like he's going to fit in that Ricky Cam role. I kind of talked about it at the beginning. If Royce is not going to be healthy 100% of the time, or is not going to give you 90-minute performances, then Thommy is going to be someone who could slide in that quote-unquote playmaker role. But it also provides you with depth on the wing for Peck and Paintsall. I do remember him playing when we played Sporting Kansas City. He was, a winger and came in on that position, but he does appear to be versatile. I know he mentioned that he played 25 games last season, which was lower. He did have some groin issues, I guess, hip and groin. So I'm sure Greg will be, talking about the growing injuries.
Oh man, here we go.
But I think he's looking for a bounce back year. 2024 was a career high for him. He had 7 goals, 4 assists. So if he can do something similar, 10 goal contributions between goals and assists, kind of reliving 2024, I think we'll be happy. So you can be a little bit, hesitant because this is someone who had groin issues, 31 years old. Not that that's a dinosaur, but further along than a player in their prime, but still able to contribute and still able to do those things. And you're hoping that they can kind of find new scenery, and then that's what motivates them to be an offensive spark. He was the offensive player of the year for Kansas City in 2024. So I think you're seeing that with Klaus as well, someone who had some issues last season, but then they're coming with new scenery, with new incentives, and you hope that can be the spark that leads them to it. So I think you mentioned it with the Panda on Tuesday's show. There's redemption tours happening here. The Ramirez redemption tour, the Nascimento redemption tour, Peck, redemption tour. Everyone's kind of going for it. And I think when you bring new signings in, there's a bump there. And I think you saw it when 2024, when Peck and Paintsville showed up. Hey, we're on a new team. We're going to show out. We're going to show you what we can do. And maybe that got a little bit stale last year, but maybe you see it with Thommy and with Klaus this season. Hey, we're on a new team. We're going to show out. And so I think that you have to be hopeful for that. If they can have these new players motivate them and just keep raising everyone's level, I think that's why a lot of people have a lot of things to be excited about with this sign.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's just solid. It's a solid guy. I think you're going to see, Greg loves these guys. Give me an 8. Give me an 8 every time. Run me out there. 8 out of 10. 8 out of 10. 8 out of 10. By the way, I do have to point out, Eric Zavaleta spells it with a Q. Yes or no, or is that because it's
that's a whole different thing. That's just a different category. You're not an Eric on that. Yeah, okay. I've seen it with an ARIQ. I've seen that. So again, there's a ERIC is the correct way, and then we'll allow some variations.
Right.
And then everything else that's just a different category altogether.
It's not even the same thing. All right, we'll have to talk to Eric Zavaleta about that if we ever. So what are you just against the C or what's going on? No.
It's unique.
It's unique indeed. Here's the thing with the Erik Thommy signing. Last year, making $1.6 million in guaranteed compensation. So there certainly was a question about whether or not he would be a targeted allocation money signing. And I am here to confirm, as I did yesterday on social media, that he is not a targeted allocation money signing. Now, does that mean that could mean that the LA Galaxy are using general allocation money to buy down underneath the max? And really more and more is going to be done with general allocation money than targeted allocation money because targeted allocation money is being phased out. So there's still a chance that salary is still up there a little bit, but that they're not using targeted allocation money funds on him. And so that I can confirm. Also, not an international slot, as there was no indication of an international slot. I think he's a green card holder, and he has been for a little while. Excuse me. And so, yeah, not that. So again, you're getting basically the domestic. He has to change his name to a C. Domestic Erik Thommy.
Well, place of birth. I'll be a little more generous with that, especially in the climate today. I think
100%.
I'll be accepting. I'll be accepting of our friend Erik Thommy here. Is the same thing is true of Guesman as well, right? He's international but has a green card or has citizenship. So that these signings are all checking a lot of boxes where good character players, but then also players who are not going to count against international slots, so you don't have to shuffle the deck as many. I also have to shout out the chat, giving about every single possible spelling of Eric that they can. I see ERICKQUE, solid one there from Patrick.
That is good.
Just some great spellings out there.
Yeah, that's like that. I think that Eric rhymes with unique. If it's Eric, like
there you go.
Yeah, like unique. So that's there. So overall, it seems pretty good. I'm going to give you something from one of our Discord users, Lem, who I absolutely adore. Way smarter than me. There's a bunch of people on the Discord. Listen, most of you are way smarter than me. This is not hard to do. But this is
a good advertisement for the Discord. If you want the real stuff, the COG, LA Galaxy, mainline, get the good stuff. You got to go to the Discord. A lot of great takes in there.
But I will share this. And Lem goes, I just wrote this on another Galaxy fans forum in case you're interested. Erik Thommy can play both cam and left wing. As I said 2 months ago, he likes to make powerful penetrating runs with the ball and take long distance shot. He's very strong but not fast. Good at combining with teammates, but his vision is far from Ricky's vision. Thommy came to KC during the 2022 summer. They were having a dreadful first half of the year, but got way better after the Erik Thommy and Willie Agata signings. Thommy was the starting cam in Kansas City for the next 2 seasons. Then KC did something interesting. They tried to be the Galaxy. They signed Dejan Jovalic and got their own Ricky Puig and DP and Manuel Garcia. And many times last year, the plays between these two reminded me of Dejan Ricky 2024 connection. Thommy lost his starting place between Garcia and homegrown Daniel Solowy on the left side, and KC decided there was no place for him anymore, especially at his high salary, close to the DP max, correct? Very much in that realm of he's over the max budget charge, so he can be a designated player, or he has to have something else. Lem goes on to say Thommy is clearly a Fagundez replacement, has a green card and no TAM signing. He's a good addition. Between him and Joao Klaus, I can see a trend. We're signing players who often look good but limited because they played in terrible teams, and their teams decided to let them go because of their huge salaries. So interesting little pickup there for that. But that's what I said. You'll learn things on the Discord, and I go through and read stuff all the time. So I am certainly stealing all that stuff all the time. So just
and I guess I didn't see that from Lim, but we were aligned, and this feels like the Diego Fagundez replacement, veteran presence. You know what it fills in your attacking position, your cam position. I think Fagundez showed that that's where he wanted to play. That wasn't always where Greg played him, but that is where I think he could have been most effective. And I think when you see Thommy slide into that slot, I think it's going to be seamless. And I think you will see a good pairing between him and Klaus. I imagine if that can gel and then you can get the wings working, like I said, a lot to be excited about.
So if we go into that sort of discussion and we talk about the LA Galaxy and we talk about now where they're going, something that Kevin has reported and certainly reported on the Tuesday night show was that the LA Galaxy were still looking for 2 more attacking pieces. Now, this was after Joao Klaus was training on the field, so they were 2 more. Mm-hmm. So Thommy is 1. I still think, by the interpretation from Kevin and everything else that we had, that you're still looking at 1 more attacking piece that the Galaxy are trying to look. I don't know where that is. Yeah. I don't know names, just like the Erik Thommy thing sort of came out of there. I, again, will remind you, and I think I predicted this either on the show that I was with you on or a show with Kevin, that you're going to be somewhat underwhelmed probably by the name. Like, it's not going to be a name where like, oh my God, I can't believe it. It's like, It's like Erik Thommy. Some people are like, okay. Like, and that's the kind of signings that I do expect still here as we close things out. So yes, I think there's another attacking piece. Yeah.
I was going to say, I call those the Jeff Larentowicz signings.
All right.
Not sexy, but every team that is successful has those guys on those teams. Erik Thommy is absolutely one of those guys where, like you said, you're not going to go and hang out at the airport and start the parade because Erik Thommy's coming to town, but that's absolutely a player who's going to contribute and make a difference on this team.
So that's what I would still expect. There is like 1 more, probably 1. Now, there is a rumor out there, and I can go ahead and talk to you about this, that 29-year-old Karol Swiderski is possibly, or the LA Galaxy were possibly interested in bringing him back. I will tell you that this seems like maybe it's older rumor than anything else. Yeah. I cannot confirm the LA Galaxy have actually even made a reach out or were even considering it, outside the fact that probably at one point or another he might have been up on their board as somebody who they were watching or looking at, right? So something like that. One of these days, I just want to be able to sneak into the front office and just see the big board for give me
take a picture of the board.
Yeah, take a picture of the board and kick me out, like the whole deal. I just want to see the big board because I'd love to see the names that get put on the big board that never get talked about. It never happens, but they're on the big board. They're there. It's like, oh, well, we're going to need somebody, and they're on the big board, and they're there for, half the year, and then suddenly they get wiped off the board, So
or they get picked up by someone else. To me, this feels like Joao Klaus, Swiderski, they feel like in the same category. So I think maybe both of them were on the big board and you're able to get Klaus. So if you're able to get Klaus, then Swiderski's out. And so they feel very similar. So I don't think you need both players. Right. So like you said, maybe it's an old something. Maybe it is someone where there was interest there. But once you get Klaus across the line, I don't think it becomes redundant.
Oh, sometimes I love asking about rumors this time of year. What? Who? No. And I'm like, oh, I don't know. I'm just asking questions. I'm just, I'm not that smart. I don't ask good questions. I don't even know why I have a pod. You know why I have a podcast that's lasted 18 seasons? Because I keep showing up regardless of how bad I am at this, right? So
listen, if there's here's our life advice for the day. Keep showing up. Just keep showing up. Eventually, you're just going to be part of the furniture. You're going to be the furniture, and the scenery there, and you can't live without it. So Again, keep showing up.
By the way, shout out to my boy Logan in the chat room, by the way. Made sure I was on top of the LA Galaxy Unified news all the time. Logan's the man. So certainly appreciate that. So Swiderski, no, that's not happening. So I still think there's a possibility. I don't know timeline, and so you can sort of guess on that. I think it'll be something that we can watch as this goes forward a little bit, but it could be summer, it could be now. The Galaxy seem pretty well set on everything. Greg Vanney even said to Kevin, I don't know if it made the show, but they taught, it was in public forum, so I can share it. Is that he sort of said, we think we got all the guys that we wanted, really, right? That type of thing. Like we checked off the list that we sort of went to. Obviously, the Ricky Pooch thing is a different thing to sort of look at. But yeah, we'll see how that goes. By the way, if anybody's taking notes, having Erik Thommy on the podcast at Coachella, where we could pit Erik against Erik, would be fine with me. I'm in on that, right? We could,
it's going to be a fun time because you're going to have to bet on Erik Thommy every time. Bet on the German. You always go after that.
Yeah. So
I will say,
you've
noticed a trend also with who the Galaxy are going after and where the rumors are popping up. It's Klaus, it's Thommy. These are domestic players within the league. Glesnes
already ready to go.
So I think if I were to see the big board and see what's happening and kind of guess who's coming, who's going to be the next one across the line, very similar to the names that it's going to be someone who is on another MLS team who has value, who, like Lim mentioned, has lost their starting spot because of a different situation. John Nelson, who when he was signed, we said, who's this guy? And then look, he's your starting defender, outside back to make it work. So it's going to be someone like that, where someone who is in a situation that wasn't suiting them, and the Galaxy bring them in, and then you think, who's this guy? And then all of a sudden they're going to be part of the team, hopefully. So I imagine that if they want two more attacking players, I think one more is definitely going to be in league. But I also think there is the World Cup break, and you always want to have a couple backups available if you need to. You don't want to spend all your money. If you need something in the summer, you need to go make that luxury purchase like we did with Royce in 2024. You want to have that option available. So I think maybe one more domestic before the season starts, and then maybe if you want to save it for an international in the summer or after the World Cup break, I think you save that spot.
Well, let me be clear, right? Thommy was one of the two that I thought. So I think there's only one more. Now.
Only one more.
One more. Yeah, I don't want to say there's two more. There's one more. Thommy was one of the two because of the timing of it.
That blows everything else I said. And if you see another domestic player, it's over. We're done. We're done shopping.
And again, I think that there's some flexibility that's built in the summertime for the Galaxy to possibly do something, and that's sort of with Nascimento and his loan ending in the summertime.
That's true, because that's a 6-month loan, so maybe that's the time where you go and flex your muscles there.
And maybe if you find out that you need a position, you go at it with a U22 spot. So that's, again, unlimited acquisition fees. There's a salary top on that, but it's also a low cap hit that you're already working in with Nascimento. So that doesn't seem to be a problem either. You could also, if you wanted to, possibly move somebody like Julian Aude, right? And he's one of the guys who I'm sort of looking at as surplus to requirement. And having said that, I think that Aude is a really fun, good technical guy that if you get him going the right direction could be an absolute stone cold starter for the LA Galaxy, just killing things.
I want to see a full 90 minutes from him.
Just give it.
And still having the engine going. Because I see good 45 minutes from him, good 50 minutes from him, but I don't see that full all the way through, or coming in off the bench and doing a great 30 minutes off the bench. I want to see that's the next level for Aude, is being that 90-minute, get it all done. Because technically, you're right. I think technically what he brings and how Vanney likes to play in the build-up, I think he can be a better option there. And so that's where the stamina needs to be there. The physicality needs to be there. I think that's just that little piece that he needs to level up a little bit more.
Yeah, remember it's because Dave in the chat room goes, oh my goodness, Josh is starting up again about selling Aude, right? And I'm like, yeah, but I also said that I was going to sell Mauricio Cuevas as well, remember? So and Yamane. Okay, so the
value has to be the people have to be interested, and you have to, again, there's something where you're a broken record here. You have to you're the players who are rotting away at your bench and not getting minutes, who don't look good when they come on the field. No one's coming for those players. You're not going to be able to sell those guys. They're going to come for the players who look good and have that ability and have something to add to a new team. So who's going to pop up on those lists? Players who the chat are going to think are better than, some of the other players on this roster. Yes, that's true, because those are the players who have value. We'll just keep banging the drum, keep being a broken record there.
I am here to tell you, okay? You want me to let's peek behind the curtain a little bit of the LA Galaxy. Let's peek behind the curtain of every front office in Major League Soccer and across the world. If we have Cuevas, we could trade Cuevas for a lot of stuff. What could we trade Cuevas for? Let's figure out all the stuff. Hey, can you guys get me a report? What do you think we could get for Cuevas? Let's go ahead and put a market value on him, and let's figure out whether or not we should shop him or not. Hey, John Nelson is really awesome, and we've only increased his value. Now we signed him a long-term contract. Who wants him? Let's figure out who wants them. These things happen. You want players, you bring players, but there is also this forward-looking thing. And by the way, I think it's something that has been missing from the LA Galaxy for a long time, which is, what value does that contract bring us, even if we don't want to keep them? I can imagine looking at guys like Klaus, right? And we're talking about a DP contract. You're eating all the money in the first one, so that way then whenever you bring him on and you can extend his contract after that, he's a targeted allocation money player instead of being a designated player. And is that something that's valuable across the league too? So that's the contracts that you sign to are not just money to players, they're tradable assets. And sometimes in the right zone, those play, how we see players who stay in MLS really long, and you're sort of like, how did that guy stay in the MLS for so long? He wasn't this great guy. He missed his contract.
Missed the window.
His contract was in the right window, right? It's like, quite honestly, Eric Zavaleta, his contract was in the right window for him being sort of in these different places. Yes, in some places it wasn't a lot of money, but you see guys who stick around who have like $300,000 contracts or $400,000 contracts. They stick around. They bounce from different teams. Why are they going different places? It's like because their contracts are sort of in the window of where they're supposed to be. So, anyway, that's something you have to watch for. So on this show, because we are part of God's universe and we talk about the beautiful game and as it is a religion here, in this household, we talk about trading assets. In this household, we talk about tradable contracts. All right. In this household, we talk about getting value for players, even when you're like, man, that guy's going to be so good. You're like, yeah, he is, but you're going to get a lot of money for him right now. Go ahead and press that button.
And if the contract is up at the end of the season, then they're going to walk for free. So can you get something now? Can you get something 6 months before the contract is up? So instead of them walking away 6 months later, hey, you got $200,000. You got the rights to a player, or you've now opened a relationship with a new club in South America or in Europe or in Asia, where you now have those lines of communication open, and then now that opens the door to bring the next player in. So those are all things that you have to consider as well.
So we look at that. Now let's switch gears quickly. LA Galaxy new kit releases. Footy headlines out here with all the breaking news all the time, as you would imagine. This is like one of their mock-ups of that other design, by the way. These are Yes.
If it's on Footy headlines, just you can mark it in ink. You could lock it in that's where they're at.
What we're probably not seeing, because these are replicas, and usually we get replica looks well before we get anything else, right? This one is this particular rendering here is the Stairway to 7, 6 stars on each side and all the way up. But what we're missing details, right? And that's what I will say. This is how this usually is. Now, I would like to make it perfectly clear. I have not seen this jersey. So I can't tell you whether or not this is accurate or not. But I'm telling you, it's from Footy headlines. They're usually pretty close. So you can probably go with this. Plus, it has the sash. It has the things. It has the shoulders that we saw that were going to be sort of that dark blue. And so we have some little details that I think are going to pop up. But there was also a rumor, I think, at one point that perhaps the skyline is in the sash, right? Like there could be things that we're not seeing in the details that we're going to be like, oh, that's really nice. Now, Josh, I'm speaking in third person, Josh will not like the kit whenever it comes out. And then he'll see the details up close and he'll be like, yeah, but you can't see those details when you're playing on the field, right? The whole deal. And then about halfway through the season, I'm like, I really like this kit, man. Like, it's really growing on me. So don't listen to me, all right? Don't listen to me. It's fine.
as the jersey guy,
go
and
ahead.
someone who ranks jerseys and goes after it. To me, this one it's the Zlatan era jersey redone basically, and I think it's interesting because that 2018-2019 jersey was the I believe the 2010 jersey or something like that, or no, maybe it was 2008 or 2005, one of those where the sash had the kind of the lines around the outside. So it's interesting. This is a remake of a remake, and so now it looks a little bit different. The one thing that I will say with the sash, again, we got to get a complete sash. I don't know. I obviously know with the Herbalife and during the Zlatan era, you had the Herbalife nutrition, and I actually like the new Herbalife styling of the lettering. That looks better than just the block lettering of the Herbalife nutrition. If you're going to have to, live with that situation, but it just feels like the distance between the broken sash is just a little too big. That's the part that's throwing me off. If there was a way where they can close that sash all the way through, I know with River Plate they're able to make it work. With other teams that have sashes on their jerseys, they make it work. So that's my only complaint. You got to let the slash close all the way across. That is just the one thing that sticks out.
Is it there's like FIFA guidelines, different things where like
there's something. If you're going to have the sponsor, it needs to be which I don't. But there's other teams figure out a way around it, so they've got to figure it out.
Yeah. Alexis, by the way, says Zlatan kit. You mean the Perry Kitchen kit? Excuse me, that's Kevin Kitchen.
The Kevin Kitchen.
Kevin Kitchen kit.
You beat me to it.
Certainly one of those. Certainly one of those that you can watch and sort of see. But this is what we're expecting. I heard that there will be releases. I believe not this week, but the next week possibly we're going to get a kit going there, and so you're going to start to see that. That's on like an MLS timeline. All those have to be coordinated with MLS and everything else that you could possibly imagine. Excuse me. I think we're second week of February is when we expect kit. There's a kit drop week where they drop a new one. So we're going to be there for
again. I'm further removed. I feel like. Again, are you with me on this? Again, I'm going to go on a tangent here. It feels I saw the take somewhere. It was a TikTok video or something where it says everything seems to have fallen off, and I'm reminded of pandemic level Twitter at the time, live tweeting, interacting with the community. It feels like that's gone. Getting excited about kits, jersey leaks, jersey drops. I feel like there was a build up to it, and I feel like there's no build up to it anymore. There's not that excitement. So I just feel like I don't have that excitement that I used to. And I don't know if that's a me thing, that's an everyone thing, but that's just, it feels like everything's fallen off.
I mean, how many years have we been doing this whole Herbalife thing? It feels. Yeah. And by the way, one of the best contracts the LA Galaxy have had throughout the years is getting a sponsorship kit from Herbalife. It has basically been attached since the Beckham era, right? That's whenever it debuted, and it has stayed there. It would probably look weird if it wasn't on the kit, but I also think it would look better if it wasn't on the kit. So, somebody was looking at the mock-up here and was sort of looking at the little like the leaf thing and goes, that leaf is the problem. It's causing too much blank space above the logo.
You brought it down just a little bit. Yeah, I'm sure there's a requirement where it needs to be a certain size, but if you just shrunk it down a little bit, make that space a little bit smaller, close the sash. That's definitely noticeable there.
Yeah, Alexis, by the way, says the club used to have kit launch parties for season ticket members. Has definitely fallen off. I know that there's a season ticket member event coming up on Saturday. I don't know what they're going to particularly do in there, but maybe you'll get to look at something. I have no idea. Again, should I dodge the flu? Which I hear like the little man up and struggling next to me right now, seems unlikely. I feel like I'm a fallen soldier. I can see my future and it is not going to be good. But should I not get the flu, I will be there on Saturday and hopefully be able to check out all the fun stuff that happens there. So that's the interesting part. So we have the kit, Eric. That's all lined up. We're going to eventually see this popping out. There's going to be a debut second week in February. So we know all of these things that are sort of lining up. The Galaxy have pretty much a full roster now. I mean, somebody said
they're ready to go.
Yeah, somebody in this chat room said, I don't know that the Galaxy need anyone else, right? And it's like, if you started right now, again, somebody, and I won't say who, but somebody said that within the Galaxy that it would be nice if everyone took care and checked off all my wins and losses, like me, and then the team has to do it. It would be nice if I had wins and losses too. The part where we said the Galaxy feel like they're moving to molasses type thing. I think I said that on a Monday show a couple while ago. Hey, good job. Way to claw your way out of it, right? And the whole deal. But it is interesting to see. The excitement was gone when Ricky got injured. Because the defensive signings of Hack and Glesnes were strong, and you're like, oh, okay. And I asked Greg Vanney this question. I'm going to ask it again, only in a smarter way this time. But basically, you've never really had a defensive team that stood on its own as a defensive team. As a defender, he must be he probably can't sleep at night. He's so excited about having defenders, in the whole deal. So I'm really interested to see how that defense shows up. Do they go through the whole preseason without allowing a goal? Currently, no goals allowed in preseason, right?
That's what you took away from that Portland game is 0 goals against. That's it. Will Kuntz has a lot to be happy for. Again, that shrug of goals against. There it is. There's your answer. So if they can keep that going, I think, that leaves. Yeah, I'm with you where it didn't seem like it was slow, and then now it's a sprint. Now get me there. To Vanny's point about how he's going to line up, that's why I'm so excited for Coachella, because is it going to be different? Or we've talked about Vanny and his system and players who are comfortable in his system. Are we going to see the same formations that we've seen for the last 3 years? Or with the new pieces, is he going to change how he plays? Because I think that's been one of my critiques of Vanny is the adaptability with the players who are on your roster. You have to play to their strengths. And, if it wasn't working, then maybe you do need to change things. Last year, we all kind of looked a little bit silly because then when things got changed, that's when they went out and got crushed by New York Red Bulls. And so you think, well, there he changed things and then it didn't work out. But I think there were some flaws in that lineup, and maybe that's a different conversation. But that's one thing that I will keep an eye out for Vanny this season is he sticking to what he's always done, or is there going to be a little bit more adaptability with the different players who maybe are going to give the Galaxy different strengths in different areas, and you need to adapt to that.
They said in the offseason, I had this conversation, they said in the offseason that they wanted to have competition at every position, basically. And go look at the roster right now. There's a lot of competition. They have it. There's stuff there. So we'll see. They are going to hope that the ceiling rises with Sanabria, right? They're going to hope that the ceiling rises with Elijah Winder. They're going to hope that Erik Thommy can come around. I think this was Alex, and Alex was sort of saying that if you look at this and sort of
Alex Ruiz, correct?
Sorry, Alex Ruiz. If you're looking at this, that Thommy raises the floor and Sanabria and Winder need to raise the ceiling, right? And it's yes, that's it. Alex Ruiz nailed that, right? 100%, because the drop off isn't as much, right? And you're hoping that these guys who came through the system, and remember, here's the thing is that we all have to decide whether or not the end of last season was an aberration or whether the end of last season was correct. Right, that the LA Galaxy did get better, and if they are better, and they were beating playoff teams, and they were doing it. Now, maybe it was because nobody took them seriously because they sucked so much for the whole year. There's lots of things that you can say, but if they are real, and we did see some good soccer there at the end of the year, if they are real, then what they have done in the offseason by adding 4 players right now, 4 big sort of players that they put in, has done stuff only to raise that playability that they have. So I'm here for it.
And I'll say this too. If those 4 players are going to be starters in your lineup, 4 out of 11, that's close to 50%. Yeah. If you only count your 10 field players, that's 40% of your lineup that is going to be changed. That's going to be hopefully improved from last season. So again, that's a big chunk of your lineup that you're possibly changing for the better. And I agree with you with Alex Ruiz's kind of take there, where Thommy raises the floor, and then it's up for the other players. And you have to hope. And I hate to do this because whenever you say the momentum from last season is going to travel into the next season, and it never does. We saw it happen from 23 to 24, where there was, 22 to 23, where there didn't seem to be that connection. 23 to 24 somewhat worked, although 23 was kind of a disaster. And then 24 to 25, there wasn't any momentum that continued to build off that MLS Cup winning season. So I hate to do that, but you have to hope those minutes that Parente got, that Harbor Miller got, that Winder and Sanabria towards the end of the season, that all that, those seeds that you planted last season, as bad as it was, that they start to develop and start to grow this season.
Well, exciting stuff. Now, our final thing for tonight, before we close it out, let's go to one of my favorite people in the whole wide world, and that's Pablo Maurer, who's writing for The Guardian now. By the way, did you know I used to write for The Guardian? Thank you very much.
I did not. Well, congratulations.
Yeah, I used to write for The Guardian on occasion. I've written for the LA Times on occasion. It sucks so bad. I get so nervous. It is not fun for me at all. Don't like it. Not that good at it.
Anxiety kicks in. Imposter syndrome.
Do not like it. I'm just pretending here. I am not that smart. Here we go. MLS to cut a quarter of Spanish language broadcast talent on Apple TV, according to sources. This is from Pablo Maurer at The Guardian. But basically, I'm going to give you some of it. But basically, on Apple TV this season, it will include a significant scaling back of its Spanish language broadcast talent during the regular season. That's from 5 sources familiar with the league's plan. The league's plan also includes downscaling English language offerings as well and sending some behind-the-scene production to the United Kingdom. Basically, multiple sources said this week, this is from Maurer, and I'm quoting, multiple sources said this week that the league will employ about half as many two-man Spanish language commentary teams, leaving the rest of the matches with a single play-by-play announcer. Source within the league office confirmed the news, telling The Guardian that MLS has plans to retain what it deemed to be its 7 best Spanish language play-by-play and commentary pairings. Sources are also saying that the league will no longer produce the Spanish language 360 MLS version of the MLS 360, right? There was a Spanish version of that, the whip around style show, and that the English version will remain unaffected. And a league source indicated that viewership data for MLS 360 suggests that the Spanish language consumers simply prefer watching matches to its in-studio programming. Some of the MLS statements were, after careful consideration and in response to fan feedback, we're evolving our Spanish language programming to better reflect how our audience engages with the game. Our Spanish language coverage will focus on what fans value most in shoulder programming, high energy live broadcasts from the stadium that bring them closer to the action through pre and post game shows. And so that's some of the stuff that's going on. The other stuff that is, so here's the deal. And if any of you were around whenever Time Warner Cable took over and it became Spectrum and there was Time Warner Cable Deportes, right? Yes, And all the guys over at Deportes were like my best friends. They were amazing. That was the side that actually drove a lot of the storytelling, I think, from the Spanish side, more so than the English side. If you remember the top 10 lists that were on Spectrum/Time Warner Cable, I actually helped write a lot of those lists, and then I got to record on some of those. And so that was all from the Deportes side, not from the English language side.
I'll say, to my point of things falling off, those were golden. The Spectrum deal and all the content that was around that, the top 10 lists, the pregame show, the postgame show. I mean, that really, we had it all. We really had it all.
Yeah, it was.
That's what I was hoping we were going to get with Apple TV.
Well, and you did, because you got the beginning
to an extent, but not team specific.
No, but the same thing happened with Time Warner/Spectrum whenever the viewership wasn't there and the money wasn't coming in from the TV commercials. And I remember we had the director of like sports programming on Time Warner Cable on this show for whatever reason, God only knows why, right? That they actually put him on there, and he talked to us basically about how live programming is the only thing that people tune in for anymore, and basically everything else is recorded. And that was when we had like TiVos and DVRs and everything like that, right?
DVRs, yep.
Yeah, but the whole Backstage Galaxy. See, people remember throwing it out. Here's what we saw, though, was a gradual degradation of that, right? It would go down, and it would, it stepped down. Oh, well, we're not doing this anymore. Oh, well, we're not doing this anymore. Oh, we're not doing this. And so you're starting to see that from Apple. And it just feels like the same replay that we've seen before, right? We saw last year that it used to be that there were teams at every state, that there were broadcast teams at every stadium. I know because I'd usually get to say, I'd get to say hi to them. And then sometimes throughout last season, there were no broadcast teams they were going remote in Florida. In fact, in the story, they talk about Lloyd Sam, who was one of the commentators who actually moved down to Florida just because that's where the games were being called and the whole deal. And now Lloyd Sam is no longer with Apple TV, and so now he is going to basically. I think he got picked up by Fox, so it's not like the end of the world for him. The whole deal. But on Spanish language, you're getting the two guy teams, or the two man / two woman / however you want to say, 2-person teams. That's what I want to say. The 2-person teams are now getting slashed, and you're going to get a 1-man booth or a 1-person booth in there.
Yeah.
And that's harder to do. That's more, you're not getting as much, right? But what does it do? It reduces overhead because you're not paying for another salary, right? So we're sort of seeing the writing on the wall. The other thing that we will say is that a lot of the production for MLS was in-house, although it was shifted over to Vista, some others that were working down in Florida. And now we're actually going to see some of it shift to IMG, which is based out of the UK. So some of the production, it's like the back-end production, is going to be based out of the UK. And it was funny because in Pablo's article, and I implore you to go read it, I don't believe it's behind a paywall, so please go check it out on The Guardian. But somebody actually said, well, maybe the broadcasts will get better because they're being done in the UK. And that's my first thought whenever I heard they were moving.
Not wrong.
I'm like,
not incorrect.
I was like, this is ridiculous. Oh man. Because how many times
are we the Euro snarps?
I am. I think I am part of the problem. My problem has been that that the production or the direction of the games, the people who are actually directing it, which is like, the producers that are trying to
camera operators.
Camera operators are fine, but who's putting it together? Who's calling, take camera 2, take camera 3? Where are the replays? Where the replays happen? What we expect as football / soccer watchers whenever things happen is severely lacking. As a matter of fact, I actually know somebody who calls games, and I can tell whenever he's doing the game because he's somebody who actually knows how to call the game. So the replays are where you're supposed to see it. Like and usually he texts me and gives me a heads up he's doing the LA Galaxy game too, but I know I won't be complaining that day because I'll be fine. I'll be like, where's the replay? Any other time, I am so annoying in the press box. So annoying. Where's the replay? Anybody, please give me a replay. Anybody. I'm just talking. I just shout out loud. Everybody's like, I'm trying to work. I'm like, I don't care. I'm waiting for the replay. The whole deal. So, I think there's some of that. But again, outsourcing out of the country, you can just teach people how to do this inside the United States. But this, again, to me, is little degrees of degradation. You're starting to see the end of this come, and they're not making the money that they thought they were. If they were making lots of money, they'd be adding stuff, not subtracting.
Correct.
Things.
That's what I think this all comes down to. And I know the initial reaction is negative when you think, man, why are they cutting Spanish broadcasts? That someone mentioned in the chat, you have Messi in the league having a Spanish speaking audience. Why would you get rid of that? But I do think this all comes down to viewership. And again, if I could be mean for a second here, part of me, as the Apple deal has kind of gone these past few seasons, it hasn't been lived up to maybe what I thought it was going to be. And part of that is production. Part of that is
and let's be
host selection.
Let's be clear about production.
Yeah.
MLS is in charge of production, not Apple. Apple just picks up the
but
production. But yes, it's part of the whole deal.
All that, and then kind of some experiences that I've had where, to your point, not everyone who works in those directing rooms are soccer people. So some of that is them learning how things work. But I think it all comes down to viewerships. I think you're not going to see MLS Season Pass where you have to pay an extra fee now. Yep. Now it's just going to be part of Apple TV because the numbers weren't there. Right. I think it all comes down to viewership numbers. They haven't really released what the viewership numbers are. I would imagine that they're very, very low. I don't think you are getting numbers in the hundreds of thousands and millions or close to that in these games. So with that, things are gonna have to go. And if you've watched, one of the things that I like to watch during the international breaks or whenever there's lead up to a World Cup is TUDN has great storytelling, great pregame shows. Narrative is there the whole way through, and it's in Spanish language. And I think that is going to exist outside of Apple anyway. That lead up is going to be there. There are other avenues. So Apple's getting out of that game, but that doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. It just seems like it's not where people weren't going to Apple for the Spanish language,
right?
Pregame show or for the MLS 360 in Spanish. And so I think if you could take the corporation side for a second, which is a real popular take, but I can understand why this decision was made. And I could even see English language parts getting cut because it's not getting the viewership there. Those weekly recaps and things like that,
Right.
lead-ins to the show, the game previews, those maybe aren't getting the views. So if they cut some of those things, I wouldn't be shocked either in English as well. I just feel like you are seeing a scaling down because they weren't seeing maybe the return that they thought that they would get.
They are adding. There is some expansion to that. We talked about the Saturday night game that's going to be presented by Walmart. So there's going to be like a featured Saturday night game. They're still keeping the Sunday night soccer feature as well. And I believe if I can get to it and make sure that I get it right. There will also be personnel changes. So basically, sources, this is from Pablo again, sources said MLS is planning at least one significant expansion in its coverage. It will have pre- and post-game crews on site for Sunday Night Soccer, its featured match of the week. There will also be personnel changes from that broadcast. Jillian Sakovitz and Antonella Gonzalez will now serve as the sideline reporters, with Andrew Wiebe moving to the same role on Saturday's featured match, which the league is debuting this year and calling the Walmart Saturday Showdown. So that's something that's there.
Walmart Saturday Showdown. We could workshop that some more. I mean, I know they're rolling it out. There's something we could work it a little more. I feel like that's not it, but it's all right. We'll go with it.
MLS Commissioner Don Garber said that the league averaged about 120,000 viewers per match midway through 2025, with the league later telling Sports Business Journal that it had 3.7 million global aggregate viewers over a full weekend slate of games.
There you go.
So just, you can do the math, however many games there are.
It is what it is, yeah.
No, now, let me give you some perspective. This is so interesting. So, it was my sister's birthday. We went out to dinner. It was her friends. Lucky for me, I got invited to her friends' dinner that she did. This is super important. And this is why I think some perspective is needed. So she did a fun thing where all the guys sat on one end of the table, all the girls sat on the other end of the table. It was wonderful. I didn't know most of the people who I was paired with, so it was all deal. So I kept real quiet. So everybody was talking about sports and going through the whole thing. And so I did not tell them what I do as a hobby, because nobody wants to talk about themselves all the time. I'm letting this one go. I have problems, right? I already got roped into talking about trains because somebody asked me about it because they had heard a thing. So I was talking about trains. I'm like, I'm not gonna do this. So I was sitting there, and here they are, these guys going like, yeah, man, I love watching the NBA, but like me trying to figure out which channel like the game is on, or like the Ducks, and they're like
some are on Amazon, some are on TNT.
He's like, I have to I need a schedule just to figure out which channel the game is on. That was all of us not too long ago. Which channel is it on? Why is it blacked out? Blah blah blah, the whole deal. And I heard them complain about it for 15 minutes before I couldn't handle it anymore, and I said, MLS has a deal where it's all on Apple TV. And I go, but people don't like it because then they feel like it's in a bubble and it's not being shared by everybody, right? The bottom line is, if the NFL went over to Apple TV, everybody would consider it the coolest thing ever because all the games were on one spot and everybody would go to it and nobody would complain because everybody would just get it. Yes.
Yeah, NFL Sunday Ticket exists because you get every game.
But you're also not trying to like make NFL bigger, right? You're just you have a captive audience. You're there, and so that's sort of the rub for all of this. So just remember, we were there. We had local programming. It was blacked out. You couldn't watch games. People complained about that. Now everything's in one place. It's really awesome for us, the MLS sickos that like it. It's really awesome. It just has some downsides in who you're attracting and if you're growing that audience or not.
And I'll back you up 100% on that. That my gripes, they were going into their cutting and the reasons for cutting, and I was kind of sharing my thoughts on why that's happening.
Right.
But you are 100% correct. Well, I can have the nostalgia for the Spectrum Sportsnet games and the top 10 lists, but no games are getting blacked out if you don't have Spectrum.
You can watch anything if
you're on vacation, outside the state, you can't watch the game because if you don't have a VPN. And so, yes, you're right. Doesn't matter. Wherever you are on the planet, if you have Apple TV, you can watch an MLS game, and that is absolutely a win.
Walmart Sabado Football Gigante. So there you go.
There we go.
That's it.
Bring up
that's what we needed.
Trumpet too. Yeah, we'll make it work.
Yeah, 100%. So that's where we're sitting. So really good stuff by Pablo there. I love me some Pablo. I go back to Open Wide for some soccer days with Pablo.
Great name.
Yeah, so much fun. And they're the ones who started like with the soundboards, and they had like every Ben Olsen sound bite ever. Man, so funny. But yeah, ahead of its time for sure. So, but go check out The Guardian with Pablo, and we of course will watch how proud. Hey, listen, if there's one thing you can count on in this household, we complain about production value of soccer games.
Yes.
Okay.
And offside replays.
And offside replays. And how can you not give me another angle? We all know there was a big injury. Show it to me 17 times from as many angles as you can. Right? So, yes, 100%. That's where we're at. So I hope everybody's getting ready. This is it. Your LA Galaxy team is mostly assembled. Again, I think there's one more piece. I don't know when that's happening. I wouldn't be like waiting with bated breath. And by the way, they'll probably be like, there'll be a jersey turning tomorrow. And what? Who is it now? So, as much as I can stay informed, I do my best. And so we'll try to guide you through the rest of this. Also, I need all of your prayers and all of your thoughts, because I'm in the flu household, and this could get ugly.
Stay safe.
Yeah.
Sending healing vibes your way. I also want to shout out Dave in the chat saying Joe Tutino needs to be the Galaxy TV announcer, which the home announcer button is available on Apple TV, and you could get your one-man Joe Tutino show, which is the best way to watch LA Galaxy home games on Apple TV with Joe Tutino switched over. Again, the best way to experience it.
It is the biggest regret of sitting in the press box is that I don't get to listen to Joe Tutino. We don't have this. There's no audio on the TVs up there, so it's not like even we could switch it over. Yeah. I could listen to it on my computer, but then it's behind and it drives me crazy. So
it becomes an issue. Yeah.
I can't handle it. By the way, for the games that are done in the UK and IMG, is the delay going to be like 14 seconds? We have a friend who I need to ask this question to, so I will get on that and see what it is. But Joe Tutino is the man that you want to hear. He is the most up to date, knows the most about the Galaxy, has been there and seen it all, and he is absolutely deserving of anything that he gets. Whether that's he does every home game, he should do every away game. If it's every away game, I would like it better if he did every away game. I'm at the stadium for home games, away game.
And he records them. I mean, it exists. It just, I know. It's a matter of Apple making it an option.
Yeah.
You get the away teams broadcast. It's an extra button. There's a way to do that.
They say that there's no way to sync it up. It's virtually impossible. It's not.
Lies.
It's not. We have the technology. We can build it. In this household, we love Joe Tutino. Just remember that. All right?
100%.
So, with all of our heart, Joe's awesome. All right. Anything else that you would like to get to before we fade away on this Thursday and gracefully exit through our Friday into the weekend, where the LA Galaxy will be playing a preseason game and their season ticket member event? It's so much. Anything else for you?
I've got nothing else. I just got to go brush up on my Portuguese. Stay sharp. Heading out to Coachella, I got to be able to connect with Klaus, have those conversations with him, maybe get a blessing from Gabriel Peck. We've kind of ditched that. We need to get things, positive vibes going. So don't know if I'll be on next week with travel and things happening, but I will be at Coachella. So I'm excited for that. So looking forward to hearing about the preseason closed gate scrimmages, and then going to watch the Galaxy with my own eyes, and then of course meet up with the listeners who are over at Coachella. Very excited for that.
By the way, shout out to Darren. If Josh can get Kevin on the pod, then they can get Joe on away games. That's right. I mean, come on. This is
we can do it.
This isn't that hard. We can do it. We have the technology. We can rebuild him. All right, you tell people where they can find you. Let's go.
All right, as always, you can find me on all social media at HammerEV9. That's HammerEV and the number 9.
Looking for me on any social at Galaxy Podcast, cornerofthegalaxy.com. Head on over to all of your Spotify, your SoundClouds, your Apple Podcasts, where you can type in Corner of the Galaxy. Anywhere you listen to your podcast, you can type in Corner of the Galaxy. You will get us every Monday night, most Monday nights, except last week when it was Tuesday. And then, of course, on Thursdays as well. We're live. That means on Tuesday mornings and Friday mornings, you have a podcast waiting for your weekly commute. All right. For Mr. Erik, the Portuguese Hammer Vieira, I'm Josh Pato Guesman. You've been listening. You've been watching to our little Corner of the Galaxy. Have a great one, everybody.
You've been listening to the Corner of the Galaxy podcast on cornerofthegalaxy.com. You can follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at Galaxy Podcast. And be sure to check out and subscribe to iTunes, Stitcher, and Facebook by searching for Corner of the Galaxy. Fans, we thank you for listening. We ask that you be kind and courteous to your neighbors as you leave the podcast. We thank you for joining us and look forward to seeing you again. Until then, I'm Michael Araujo, and on behalf of the entire Corner of the Galaxy crew, goodbye, everybody.